Even more Henry Stickmin Creepypastas! This is Top 10 Gaming and I'm Amanda McKnight. You scream, I scream, we all scream for more creepypastas, so join me as we count down the top 10 Henry Stickmin Creepypastas Part 3. And if you've missed Parts 1 and 2, head back to check them out if you need even more creepypastas in your life. Part 2 in fact has one of my all-time favorites, so you definitely want to check that out. Alright, now let's get creepy and get counting. Number 10. Crushed by Diamonds! I didn't even realize I was playing a hacked version of the game till it was too late. My friend had loaned it to me, and when I got near the end of stealing the diamond during the aggressive ending, instead of it being a happy ending, it was a gruesome one. I kicked the diamond off the bridge and I fell with it, but when it showed Henry on the shore, instead of being fine, he had tons of shards of diamonds in him. He was a gory mess, and the diamond had somehow shattered from the fall and cut him up and killed him. The whole game had endings like this. They were all filled with gore and death, and none of them were positive. Has anyone else played this hack before? Number 9. Breaking in the Secret Sequel. I love playing the Henry Stickmin games, or I used to anyway, before something really strange happened. This was the experience I had last time I played. I'm not certain if it is some kind of coincidence, or maybe I imagined it, but I'm posting it here to see what other people think about it. I was playing Stealing the Diamond, but during my playthrough, after it was finished, I noticed that I could continue playing. After I successfully got away from the cops, I was given the option to sleep or lay low. I chose to lay low, which led me to arriving at a house, which I then attempted to break into and hide out. The front door was strikingly blue. The weird thing was that the house seemed familiar, but I couldn't quite remember where I'd seen it, or that big blue door before. While I was in the house, I was also given the option to add to my stash of loot and steal more valuables, and I decided to go this route because it seemed fun. I finished the game, and although it had been an ending I never played through before, I didn't think much more of it. Until I learned a couple days later that while my friend and neighbor Terry and his family had been on vacation, someone broke into their home and stole many of their valuables. It was then I remembered why the home had been so familiar. It was Terry's house. That blue door was his house's front door. Do you think this is just a coincidence? The game looked exactly like the inside of his house. And if this did happen, where is Henry now? Number 8. Killing the Complex. This was a hacked version of Escaping the Complex that my friend Lee claimed to have played. She said it was horrifying. At start, instead of focusing on escaping the complex, you have to focus on killing everyone inside the complex. The game ends with you not escaping, but being forced to take your own life, and if you get to the part where you and Ellie are escaping together, hers too. If Charles comes to your rescue instead, you're forced to try and kill him. And all the deaths are gruesome and much more violent. Henry also has a crazed look in his eyes the entire time, like he's some murderer on death row. Number 7. Like Henry. This is a story about Laura. Laura loved playing the Henry Stickmin games and always wanted to be funny like Henry and try some of his antics. Of course, she didn't have access to a lot of the equipment seen in the games and knew that most of it wasn't real anyways. However, one day she went on a trip to a war museum. Here they had a working cannon that they even planned on firing later in the day to show the students, as they also had their own safe shooting range. Laura made note of this, very interested in the cannon. The end of the day came and they returned to fire it. The cannon had already been prepped, all that was left to do was light it, which the tour guide did, keeping the children and their teacher at a safe distance back. However, when the cannon fired, it seemed to spit only a bit of liquid a good distance away and nothing else. They later learned that Laura had managed to slip away and had been hiding, waiting to be fired inside the cannon. Much like how it had gone for Henry, she was killed by the cannon's fire, though a lot more gruesomely, having been blown apart while inside it. Number 6. Imposters. I never believed the theories that the Henry Stickmin games existed in the same universe as Among Us, until I experienced this weird glitch while playing. I hope it was a glitch at least. There is really no other way to explain it other than some parts of these games coming to life, which I refuse to accept because it makes me sound like I'm going insane. I was playing Among Us with some friends and was playing as the only imposter when there was a body reported that I didn't kill. I was confused. How could this be possible? I hadn't killed Yellow and yet they were dead, reported dead in electrical. Then I noticed something strange while wandering in the ship after avoiding getting ejected. My friend's pet was roaming without them. It was one of the stick figure guys, except it didn't look like just any stick figure, it looked exactly like Henry Stickmin. It was smaller, but I could see it holding a bloody butcher knife. I turned to run in terror before I ran into my other friend's buddy, the female stick figure who now appeared to be Ellie, also wielding a bloody knife. I watched as she murdered me, and both of them laughed over my corpse before disappearing from the screen. This has to be some kind of glitch or hack, right? Number 5. The ultimate end. My friend Calvin experienced a weird glitch while playing Stealing the Diamond, one that was so disturbing he has found himself unable to continue playing the games. This glitch, or whatever it was, happened during stealing the diamond after he stole it. He played through the choices as normal, trying to escape, but noticed that every now and then different choices also seemed to affect his health meter. No matter what choices he made, Henry would always die the same way, looking tired and collapsing. After the 5th death, he got the ultimate end, which showed after Henry collapsed a later time and a cutscene where Henry was taken to the hospital. It showed him looking very sick, with all his skin beginning to peel off, turning him into a bloody mess. And it was explained that the diamond had actually been radioactive, giving him various types of cancer, and would ultimately end in a painful death. This is the punishment for you trying on repeat, the ending subtitle read. Number 4. Henry Horror. This was a horror hacked version of the game I played called henryhorror.exe. I downloaded it off a site I'd found and thought it might be fun to play a scary version of the game. What I downloaded though was so much more than a game. The site warned of how real the game could get, but I just brushed it off as the creator trying to scare people even more when they started. The title screen came up and it also warned once more of highly realistic experiences and how anything that you could hear, feel, or smell should not be investigated while playing. The game is best played in the dark, with screen brightness reduced and headphones on. I followed all of these recommendations. It begins with a jump scare of Henry's face peering out at you. Henry has dozens of rows of sharp teeth and he looks very tired. He speaks in a low voice and tells you there is a prize greater than any diamond that awaits you if you succeed. I couldn't make it as far as I wanted because as soon as the game started and I chose my first option, chainsaw, I could hear one right behind me. I took off the headphones and could still hear it. I then felt something come down right next to me, cutting through the air. I jumped up and ran for the lights, but there was nothing there, and the sound appeared to be coming from my monitor. My headphones had become unplugged. I did not continue after that. Number 3. Join us. If your name is Henry, do not play the Henry Stickmin games. Of course, my name is Henry and I did just that. This is an account of what happened to me. I had been watching playthroughs of the games on YouTube, so I saved up some allowance money to buy the games on Steam. I had just launched the games after my parents had both left on the weekend for work. All alone, I watched as the main menu came up, with all the episodes shown as being unlocked. Everything had seemed normal, except instead of Henry being there, it was me, and below were 2 words that read, "Join us." I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I rubbed my eyes and when I opened them again, it was gone. I started an episode that was called Completing the Mission, and planned on finishing with the triple threat ending. When I started, Ellie was there, but not Henry, and she seemed to be peering out of the screen, looking directly into my own eyes. Later, when Ellie went into Charles's helicopter, Charles seemed to address me specifically, looking up from the screen and asking, "Hey buddy, why are you not in here with us?" I got freaked out, so I decided to take a nap and try to clear my head. When I woke up, Ellie and Charles were in my room, appearing as they did in the video game, living cartoons. "So, you want us to visit you instead?" Ellie asked. I felt strange and I ran to the bathroom, but when I looked in the bathroom mirror, I noticed I was no longer myself, but the living cartoon version of Henry Stickmin. Terrified, I let out a long scream before collapsing. Number 2. The taste of energy. Mark was always allowed to get one item from the grocery store when he went shopping with his parents. This time around, while wandering the soda aisle, he noticed a new brand of energy drink, one that he had to have. It was Energy, the same brand from the Henry Stickmin games. He asked his dad, who initially didn't want to let him have it. Mark was only 13 and energy drinks were for adults, and even then, not good for you. But Mark pleaded, please, he asked. The next 3 trips I promised to ask for something healthy instead of a snack, and I'll never drink another energy drink again. His dad smiled, he couldn't say no, and so he agreed to the deal. Mark got his energy drink. He was so excited, he brought it to school to show all of his friends. They were all impressed, and one kid, who was kind of known for being rude and mean, dared him to drink it. Jared. Mark was hesitant. There was no irregular warnings on the bottle, all of it looked pretty legit and standard, but in the game, the drink killed you. The moment's pause was all Jared needed to snatch it out of Mark's hand, open it, and down it in almost one gulp, letting out a loud burp in Mark's face. Though that was the last Mark saw of him, because he then vanished from everyone's sight. The teachers began a search, but there was no sign of Jared. No one knew what happened. The next day, however, he was found dead, just down the street from the school. His face was stark white, and he appeared to have been clutching at his chest when he died. Number 1. Gravitor 2.0. My one friend became way too obsessed with the Henry Stickmin games, to the point that they no longer played anything else, just the same franchise on repeat. It got to the point where they actually didn't want to do anything else besides play the games, and they locked themselves away. They stopped coming to school or hockey practice. One day I decided to do something about it and went to visit them. Their parents let me in, and I saw them hunched over the computer playing. It looked like they hadn't slept in weeks. Their parents were worried, but every time they tried to take them away from the computer, they screamed non-stop until they were permitted to play again. Apparently, they also started hallucinating. When I talked to them, they thought they were Henry Stickmin. They kept mumbling about it. I tried to talk some sense into them, but they only took it as a challenge. Suddenly, they pushed me aside, pulled a device out of their pocket, and shouted, "Gravitor 2.0 activate," before smashing out of their bedroom window. They lived in a condo on the 12th story. I couldn't bring myself to look out the window. I was so shocked. They died, and I'm currently a suspect in their murder trial. I didn't kill them though, I swear. Don't get obsessed with this game, it will make you go insane. Which do you think is the scariest creepypasta? And if you wrote your own Henry Stickmin creepypasta, what would it be about? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Gaming, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, saying thanks for watching and reminding you to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!